Hello everyone, welcome back to another Toyota video. Previously on our Toyota build here, on our 85 pickup, we're doing a engine replacement. So on our last video, you guys saw me tear down the motor that came out with the cracked block, hydro-locked it from the previous owner. Right behind me is the new motor that I bought from the auction rig, the 87 4Runner. Now, I didn't went ahead and film any of the tear down on this motor, but let me tell you guys something. It is amazing. Solid engine. Now, quick recap for anybody that's new. I bought a 85 Toyota pickup, blown motor, pulled that motor out, and then a couple days later, bought a 87 4Runner from the auction for no, it wasn't $500. The 85 was $500. The 4Runner was $25. $160 out the doors with all the fees. I already made all my money back from selling miscellaneous parts off that 4Runner, but the main thing we wanted was this engine. This engine did run. It doesn't have 400,000 miles. It is a it's a rebuilt motor, so this is a replacement motor. And I know that for sure because on the block and on the head it has a stamp. They put stamps on it when they build new motors. So this is not a 400,000 miles motor. When I tore down this motor and I popped the valve cover, man, was it amazing. It was a clean motor, amazing motor. I inspected the timing chain. The timing chain is in great shape. The guides are already metal. The usual ones are plastic. They're known for breaking. So this one here, I didn't remove the timing cover or anything like that. We did went ahead and dropped down the oil pan, cleaned it, inspected it. I repainted it already, and I put new gasket already on it, and I installed it. When they installed this motor, they put some cork gasket, and I'm not really a fan of that. They don't usually hold up pretty good. So this thing has new gasket. Right now we're waiting on a new oil pump. We're gonna put a new water pump, thermostat, and all new intake and valve cover gaskets. So right now we're just waiting on parts, but I'm gonna show you guys how clean this motor is and show you a little bit of everything here. Now keep in mind the 85, it had a leaky front axle. I already went ahead and rebuilt that front axle, but then we ran into a few issues. The passenger side knuckle, one of the holes for the brake caliper is stripped, so I have to rethread that, and I have a kit coming in for that. And then the brake rotors and all the brake rotors were completely worn out. The brake pads were worn out, so I have new rotors, new brake pads, new brake calipers, all on order, and we're gonna wait till those come in too so we can slap that onto the front axle. Everything's put back together, but the hubs are just temporarily put on so that I can roll the vehicle around. So right now we're just waiting on a bunch of parts to come in, which won't be here for another week or 2 weeks. So without further ado, let me show you guys what's going on in the garage. For the most part, everything has been cleaned already. The intake manifold, throttle body, all the stuff that needs to go onto this engine has been pressure washed, degreased, valve cover has been degreased. Like I said, we're just waiting on parts to come in. We have the original oil pan. That one is still greasy, dirty. That will be for spare. We have the radiator, which is still good. It's been washed, clean already. We have the throttle body that's been cleaned. It's apart right now. We're still waiting for the gasket. We have the main intake manifold. We also sent out the injectors to Injector Master in Oregon. So that's gonna be about another week and a half before we get that back. They're really fast. Usually when they get it, it's about a 1 day turnaround, but then we have to wait for the shipping. Intake manifold to the cylinder head has been washed, degreased, and all that fun stuff. Waiting for thermostat, all that gasket, stuff like that. This is the original water pump that was on the 85. It's Toyota, but I don't feel like reusing them. Same thing with the oil pump, so we went ahead and ordered new ASIN water pump, oil pump, along with all the gasket that's needed. Harmonic balancer has been cleaned, degreased. Fan clutch has been pressure washed, clean, and degreased. And then the belt pulley has been spray painted and degreased. This is the original head that was on the 85 that had a cracked block, and I inspected this head. It still looks really good, so we're just gonna hold on to it. This is the EGR cooler for the back of the head. It goes right there on that head, so waiting for the new gasket for that stuff. The rear main seal we're gonna install that once we remove the engine off of the engine hoist. So we're going with the rear main seal. These are from Nappa, and that's the Altron brand, which is a really good brand, made in Japan. The front main seal, I went with the OEM Toyota one, and that one won't be here for, you know, that's on order as well. We do have a new fuel filter, so fuel filter will be installed. Distributor will be clean. I went ahead and ordered a new distributor cap O-ring, and then also another O-ring for the shaft because those things can leak. Down here we have the exhaust manifold, extra distributor, extra alternator, the fuel rails, the 2 intake tubes for the MAF. That one's off the 87 4Runner, and this is the original one, so I'm just gonna hold on to them for backup. The starter, we have the starter, that's the original one. All of this stuff was still in good shape, even with the clutch and the flywheel that was on the 85, so we're gonna go ahead and use those. And then let's move on to the engine. So this is the engine that was on the 400,000 mile 4Runner, and now we have a better look at it. This stamp right here was what I saw when I went to the auction, and whenever you see something like that, that means it's a rebuilt engine. Whoever built this engine, they put these on there so that they know that it's their engine, their warranty, and such and such. Their head also has one right there. I wasn't able to see that when I went to the auction, but after I got done and cleaned it and all that stuff, I found that in there. So this is a brand new long block. So that means that this thing and this thing was installed all together from one company. Went ahead and put a new oil filter. Still have to put the fuel filter right here. You can't put that until you put the tube that goes behind here that goes into the lower intake. Switch out the oil pressure sensor unit. This is the one that's off the 85. And then we kept the engine mounts off this engine because these are still in good shape. Same thing. Timing cover is still good. Got a new pump on the way, front main seal, water pump on the way. And check out the condition of this head here. Look how clean this is, guys. You guys see how clean this is? Super, super amazing head. Not gunked up, nothing like that. Timing chain in good shape. I put a flashlight down there and I can see that these are the metal guys. They're in good shape. When I dropped the oil pan, there was nothing in the oil pan that's like parts or anything like that. So it's good, solid to go. Don't need to do anything to it. Once I have everything installed and the crank pulley installed, I'll go ahead and double check the valve clearance because they're really easy to adjust. You don't need to have shims or anything like that. You can just adjust them on the screw. So we'll go ahead and do that. We have new spark plugs on the way. These are the original spark plug that was on this engine. New exhaust gasket, new exhaust nuts. We're also doing the EGR delete. You can see I have the EGR plates right here and on the intake manifold. This year engine, it didn't come with the air injection. Some 22RE came with it. Some didn't come with the air injection. So we just have the EGR. And this is the back of the EGR plate that I showed you guys. We have a gasket that's coming for that. And then the rear main seal, we're gonna replace that as well because we wanna make sure it's good. The freeze plug for the coolant block has been removed, cleaned, and reinstalled with thread sealant. So everything is solid. This is the alternator. Alternators are still good when we ran them. So we're just gonna go ahead and reuse them. If we do ever have to replace them in the future, it's not a big deal. It's easy to do when the engine's in the truck. All the coolant hose appears to be in good shape. So we're gonna go ahead and reuse the coolant hose. But that is it right there, guys. And then, like I said, the oil pan, I went ahead and put black RTV. It's been cured for about 2 days now, so it's pretty much ready to go, but we're not gonna add oil until we have this engine in the vehicle. All the gasket surface has been cleaned on all the mating surface, so heads, throttle bodies, etc. I totally score on this. Like I said, guys, I bought this 87 runner, $25 after all the fees, 160 bucks, 160 to tow it. And I already sold a bunch of the 4Runner parts and made all that money back already. So this is pretty much a free motor, a free good working motor. These right here are all the original parts off of this engine, so we're keeping those for spare. They should be very similar to the original ones, but those are the original one off the 85 truck, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use the uppers and stuff like that. But these are all the other 22RE parts, which are really good, and I haven't cleaned them yet because I don't need them. And then over here are the parts that we do need to install, like the fan, this piece right here, this is the cap and rotors, and then the engine mounts, we don't need those, but those are all good to have. These are the extra set of fuel injectors, keeping those for spares. Not gonna use them, but good to have those on spare. And then everything else is pretty much just spare parts. That's the old fuel filter bracket for the fuel filter. Keep those for parts. We are just now waiting for parts to come in before we can assemble this engine back together. So once it's assembled, we can drop this engine in, and then once we put the new front rotors and brake pads, we can go ahead and do our first test and our first start and our first drive. So pretty excited for this build here. And again, it is nice to switch it up a bit, you know. I'm always doing 3.0 to 3.4 or 3.4 stuff, and it's really nice to switch it up and go back to the old school 22RE. Like I said, guys, I used to have a 22RE on my Green Beast truck, but I've only done the timing cover rebuild. That's the furthest I've ever done on a 22RE. So now that I have a 22RE out here and I'm doing all this fun stuff, it's really nice to refresh my brain, try something new, and, you know, just kind of change it up a little bit in the shop here. So I'm really enjoying it. So as of now, like I said, we are just waiting on parts to come in. And like I say, that's the beauty of Alaska. You know, I could have went to my local parts store in town and try to source as many things as possible and buy aftermarket gaskets and stuff, but I like to always buy OEM gaskets as much as I can, and usually I get better deals online, so I don't mind waiting a little bit to get better parts and also save me a little bit of money on my pocket when I do these builds, because everything does add up pretty quick. So right now, like I said, I'm just waiting on parts. Won't update you guys anything else until we get those parts in, but once we get those in, we can go ahead and start knocking things out. Most likely I'm gonna get my brake rotors and all that stuff first, so hopefully that comes in so I can get done with the front axle and finish that up, add fluid. I still need to open up the rear differential, the rear axle, and maybe change up the fluids on that. I might do the rear wheel bearings as well. I might do it, I might not do it, but I might do it. All the shocks appears to be aftermarket Bleisting shocks, can't pronounce it. So all the shocks seems to be pretty good, but if I do keep this truck, I do want to put a added leaf on that truck just to stiffen it up a little bit. It does need some better tires. The tires that are on that 85 right now are some old 225 75 15s, and they're studded, and they're just really low on tread. So I might try to find myself some used 31s 10.5, or I might try to put some 33 10.5 15s on them, and that will make it look really aggressive. I know for sure it needs a new front bumper, but again, I don't want to dump all that money yet until we get this truck up and running and get all the important stuff first. And the transmission and the T-case off this 87 4Runner should be the same one for the 85 pickup, so I'm gonna hold off on selling that until we get this 85 truck running, just in case something's wrong with that transmission or T-case, because those W56 transmission, they are pretty hard to find, and it's crazy just to find those. So I'm gonna hold on to those parts until we get this truck up and running, solid, and at least a 300 mile break into it. So for now, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll keep you guys updated as we get stuff in. I'll keep you guys updated on the Instagram, NuttyNu_404, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.